to express my appreciation to my brother, distinguished Senator Babangida, who having retired as a PABSEC can rightly be described as a bourgeois employer. To have such a rich social conscience and to recognize that the weakest in our midst deserve to be protected. Mr. President, the primary purpose of government, and in particular of lawmaking, is to protect the weak from the awesome powers of the powerful, whether politically powerful or economically powerful, to protect the weak from misuse of such powers. The lead speaker on this motion spoke very well and very comprehensively, and he drew our attention to the fact that when the rich misuse their powers, the powerless deserve ways and means to retaliate. The way they respond may not be something that is approvable by society, but in the absence of any legal protection, they have to take laws into their hands. Worldwide, it is recognized, and it is captured in the lead debate, that governments have a duty to protect individuals who are employed for domestic purposes. And for clarity purpose, this should not include farm workers. Farm workers should be protected under the minimum wage law. They shouldn't be treated as house helps. I think, sir, that whereas it is easy to point at the number of people who may have been victims of burglary or murder by their house help, it is almost impossible to imagine the number of Nigerians and non-Nigerians in Nigeria who have been abused, sexually harassed, and brutalized by individual employers in homes, and they have the country have no record of their existence. I think it makes sense in the enlightened interest of all those who employ domestic staff as provided for in the law to ensure that these are documented. We all, one way or the other, myself inclusive, there was a time I employed people, I call them security guide. And I have no idea where they come from. And season after season, they just inform me they are bringing their brother to replace them. They go back to farm, and then they come back. Until we began to witness some security challenges arising from the behavior of some of our domestic staff. Some of us employ security people that we don't even know. So I think this is to assist us to think again, and in fact to compel everyone to ensure that when you do employ, that it is documented, and that the Ministry of Labor has responsibility to document, to publish, and to monitor what goes on. The other aspect, which I'm not sure is properly captured in the law, but I think in the course of dealing with the Minimum Wage Act, we might need to deal with that section, the issue of appropriate remuneration. Because sometimes, some people pay starvation wages. Slavery has been outlawed in Nigeria. When you pay a wage that doesn't meet the minimum need of a person, and because of economic circumstances he has no choice, it tantamount to slavery. In some part of the world, if you employ your niece, your nephew, or anybody as a domestic help, and you pay less than the legal minimum wage, that act is classified as slavery and is punishable. Nigeria has since outlawed slavery right from time. So I urge my distinguished colleagues to recognize that this is not something we should really argue about. It makes sense. It is in our enlightened self-interest. I am not pretending that I do not also have. When I see the car park, I see a lot of drivers there, and they are all captured here. If you were to ask questions about their remunerations, about their terms and conditions of employment, Mr. Senate President, I'm sure you will be scandalized. Many of us will be scandalized. So I think we need this law to protect ourselves, to help us to behave more responsibly, and also to protect these people who, as a result of the huge level of unemployment, more and more people simply have no right but to take it, as they will say, God dey. And when they get to a point that they get so frustrated, then they resort to those practices that I believe the lead speaker spoke to very eloquently. I rise to support this motion, and I want to thank you for the privilege of allowing me to speak to it. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished Senator Johanna Amos.
Thank you, Mr. President.